Hi, this is Katie, and thank you for joining me on the My Senses, My Space podcast. And today I wanted to talk about your sense of peace. And what this means is a feeling in your heart that all feels really good and settled and feels like the right decisions have been made. So that's what it feels like. But what it actually means to you, like what adds up to peace in your heart, is going to vary at different times in your life and is going to consist of different things from person to person. So it could be relationships that you have in your life, or how things are for you day to day, or the decision of working at a place, if you have that decision, of working somewhere that brings you enough joy that doesn't feel horrible to be at. There are many different things that can factor into just feeling like settled and right, and in your heart feels like a foundation instead of something constantly unsettled and doesn't feel right and no, I shouldn't be here and this is giving me like anxiety, or there's these feelings of dread or anything along those lines. So what could help you get to that point? And this can be many different things. It could be that you're saying no to things, setting up boundaries and saying like, nope, this is not for me. This is not me for whatever I'm doing or saying or whatever it is. I want to be me. I want to feel loved. I want to feel safe. And if that also means no contact, then that may be the next step that you have to do. But having people berate you, having people take advantage of you, having really unhealthy relationships, whether it's in the family or at work or anything like that, sometimes we have to say goodbye. Sometimes we have to say, look, no contact. Sometimes we have to put up those boundaries and say, this isn't healthy for me. It could be that you stop participating in certain things. Maybe that will give you peace. Maybe there's some kind of group activities that you're part of. Maybe you're overextending yourself. And again, this comes back to the boundaries of saying no. But maybe you had the best intentions to be part of something for a community, for charity, for your school, your kids' school, or anything like that, where you're giving extra time and then you realize, I don't have that to give. That is overextending. I can't do this anymore. And that's okay. That's okay to have more information now and to see how that works within your life and see that it's not working. And so having that conversation with yourself and going, is this something I want to be miserable for multiple more months? Do I want to stay in this state for more time? Or do I want to improve things and have space for myself again to do more? It's okay to make that kind of decision for yourself if it's beneficial also for all parties, because it may be that they can find someone who has more time than you. And that may be a great result for them in the end. So it's not like you have to think that you're the only person that can help someone in a certain situation. There may be an opportunity for you to say no and for someone else to step up. It may be also that you find peace through, and I don't want to say exactly self-care, but tending to your own needs, whether that's drinking more water, whether that's looking at food planning a little different so that you are nourishing your body and having the time to slow down and cook meals instead of going out, or but not being restrictive, because that can be dangerous as well. So how do we find peace within all of that? How do we find that we can nourish ourselves with rest and anything that our body truly needs to be our best selves? Because that is a need, to be our best selves, not just a want. We don't want to be like, here's my baseline, which is just foundational and just is barely getting by. We don't want just the baseline. We want to actually feel replenished inside so that we can move forward and do the things that we enjoy doing every single day, and being who we want to be, and be ready for when life hits us with things and we aren't feeling depleted. And the biggest kind of ingredient for all of this is getting the therapy and the healing that you need. To have peace also means like really thinking things through on what the best decisions are for you, and also processing the emotions that are behind that. And so knowing that, hey, I've really looked inward, I've looked at my relationships, and I know what the best next step is. I know that I've processed within myself a lot of my past so that I can be really able and open to do other things in my life, and not have it be like, well, whenever this is coming up, I don't feel safe. So having the type of healing and support of yourself so that you can be at peace with what has happened in your family, with what has happened in your relationships, what has happened in your communities, and knowing like you've done the best that you can, that you are enough in all situations, and that you can only control so much, and a lot has to be left in the hands of others. And when you have that kind of peace of like, this is the best it can be, this is the best that I can do, and I can always make goals further down the road for myself, and I'm not feeling stuck in trauma, and it's complicated. Like, I'm trying to tread really lightly on this here because it is so big, it is so massive, and it's something that is so individual for the person. But usually when you are stepping through that process of therapy and healing, that you can find a great amount of peace. And there's no perfection in this, and there is no like end to therapy. It kind of comes and goes out of your life depending on what you have encountered. But knowing that when we look at these things, maybe things that we've wanted to push away, that we can find some peace. And maybe it's bits of peace first, and then it's a bit more, and then it's a bit more. So what does peace mean to you? I may not have covered it in this episode, so write to me. My contact info is in the description, and I would love to hear, what does peace mean to you? So thank you for joining me on the My Senses, My Space podcast.